So what are some Spurs stats that we don't like?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey, welcome back to Locked On Spurs right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Kings 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you all back. Hope you all are having a great Wednesday, and you're all just having a productive day and getting ready for the weekend that's right around the corner. What are we talking about today? We're going to be looking at stats we don't like. No, yesterday's show was stats that we like. But what are the stats that we don't like from the Spurs at this point of the season? And if time permitting, we'll be discussing some Locked On Spurs fan comments. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase, and go there right now, Game Time. And we thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen every day. Kens 5 Plus app, YouTube, iTunes. By now, you know where to go. Subscribe to us right now and check out the Locked On Spurs newsletter. If you're on the YouTube side of things, on the description below, click on that link. It's free. Nice little piece to go with Locked On Spurs. So you can tell I'm still a little under the weather. Not as bad as it was yesterday, but it's still a little lingering. So excuse the clearing of the throat and all that stuff moving forward. I think something's going around in San Antonio. A lot of people I know are sick, including our guests. That little touch of the cold. But yeah, so as far as today's show is concerned, we talked about stats that we liked in yesterday's show with Rudy Campos. A lot of good stuff from the Spurs, and probably a little bit more than bad this season, considering they are improved, and technically they are better than last year, winning their, 11th game, 12th game at this point of the season versus last year was later in the season. So it's all good, but there's still some cleanup work to do. That's what we're going to do. We're going to find two things for myself and our guest. We're going to be discussing these are the two things that are nagging us, just nagging us, and why it's important for the Spurs to address it right now before it gets any worse. It's going to bring in our guest. He is Mike Jimenez. Mr. Jimenez is back. MJ Acquired Taste himself on X, part of the Alamocity Sports Podcast, this time from his car. So we get every little bit of Jimenez's life on this show. We get him outside his lawn, we get him in his kitchen, and now we got him in his car. Welcome back, Jimenez.
Hey, man, anything for you. And I'm under the weather, too. But I'm also under the post-half marathon problem right now because, man, I can barely walk these days.
Yeah. You know, that marathon cut across my apartment. I had a hell of a time trying to get in and out that day.
Yeah.
It's brutal. But Jimenez, look at us. We're rallying behind our colds here to bring another episode of Locked On Spurs to this. And I'm pretty sure the picks that you have for the two stats you don't like are gonna set off some firestorms in San Antonio. But we're gonna save those for later on the show because Jimenez might be on one. And I think I know one of his targets. His initials are JS. Little hint there. He wears silver and black. Again, follow him on X at MJ Acquired Taste and check out his show, Alamocity Sports Podcast with Joe Garcia. He'll be talking about that in just a few minutes. So yeah, Jimenez, we're going to try to balance things out. We started off with the positive yesterday, stats that we like. We're going to even it out today with stats that we don't like. And yes, I'm totally setting you up, as you taught me. You totally caught me. You're like, of course, Jeff, you would have me on for this show. Of course you would have me on where it's all negative. So, yeah. You ready to go, Jimenez?
Let's do this.
All right. So the first stat I have that I don't like are free throws. Free throw percentage from this team. You're looking at the trend this season. So, to start off the season in October, they're shooting around 80%. Not great, not bad, but considering the professionals, should be a lot higher than that. Then we drop down to November, still at 80%. And now through 5 games through December, 75%. That's been a little shaky for me this season, Jimenez. Their inability to make free throws. These are the difference between a win or a loss this season. Their free throw percentage is something that I'm worried about. That's a stat I don't like. And you're looking overall, this month in December, they're only getting to the free throw line 28 times. Last month, 21. Now, a marked improvement. I like to see that number go up. The charity stripe is where I think this is just another sign of maturity for this team, getting better development. Games of won or lost today's NBA, likely at the free throw line, more likely at the 3-point line. But the free throw line, you got to make them count. Jimenez, is this something that can be fixable, or this is just a sign of the team developing?
I think the team is what it is when it comes to free throws. I mean, you're going
Yeah,
to have some players who do some improvement as their career goes on. I mean, now famously, Tim Duncan was a bad free throw shooter early in his
yeah,
career, and he got it increased to a respectable mid 70s by the end of his career. So it is possible to improve. I like what you mentioned about the frequency by which they're getting to the charity stripe because that's a big deal.
yeah,
These are free points, right? And you
yeah,
want them to be north of 80%, 83, 85%. They're never
yeah.
going to be around 90. I mean, they're not all Mark Price shooting free throws out
Right.
there. But getting above 80 would be a good thing. The frequency by which they're doing so would be a good thing. But you're right. When you have a team, there's no room for margin of error here for the Spurs, right? They are an average team, literally at a 500 record,
Right.
right? They're the middle of the pack in the
12 and
NBA.
12, right? Yep, 12 and 12.
You're right. And that's basically it. And when you're a middle of the pack team and you're trying to beat good teams, you gotta knock down those free throws, especially if you're trying to beat a team that's a little bit more talented than you are.
Yeah, yeah, and that could be the difference between them, staying in games, losing games, winning games. Those little things. It's the little things, and that's what we've been hearing from the coaching staff, from Mitch Johnson, even the veterans, Barnes and Chris Paul. They're saying it's just the little things, the fundamentals that are still needed to work on with this young team. So again, this is a very fundamental thing that they can fix right now. That's a stat I don't like. Now, my second stat I don't like is the obvious, the 3-point shooting. I don't know if it is going to be, it is what it is kind of thing for the entire season. But outside of Champagne, maybe Wendy, they don't really have that much 3-point firepower. All right, so let's look at the numbers. These are the stats. This is a stat I don't like. So we start off in the October, 32% shooting from the three line. Then we move to November, 35% shooting. And then again, through 5 games played through December, it's dropped down to 32%. It's been erratic. You can see it. It's been erratic. Now, in games lost, they're shooting about 31% from the 3-point line. And then overall this season, they're 34%. Look, I don't expect this team to be a bunch of Steph Currys out there, Ray Allen's out there at all. I don't expect that. But they got to get it to a respectable level. And in today's league, Jimenez, you brought it up. Is it really defense wins or is it really 3-point makes wins? And speaking of 3-point makes and attempts, they're making only 13 a game this month in December, and they're attempting about 39 in December. Now, overall, again, you're looking at the disparity here. Overall, through 24 games played, they're attempting 40 and they're making 13. So that's a stat I don't like. In today's era, 3-point shooting is a premium, and they're not getting it done, Jimenez. And likely, if they're going to lose, if they lost a game, go back in those box scores, look at every box score from the loss. More likely than not, it came down to 3-point shooting, Jimenez.
I mean, that's why I talk about efficiency so often.
Yeah.
You said get to a respectable range. You want to be around 36. The name that you left out is Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes for the season is at 43% shooting from 3, which is remarkable.
Yeah.
I mean, anything north of 36 you want to be at. And really, it's just Champagne and Barnes that are doing that. We have high volume 3-point shooters in Wemby, and that one is kind of concerning me. And I'm going to dovetail off of one of my things that I wanted to talk about as far as things that I don't like, because it actually
You know what?
goes
Hold that thought.
Well,
Hold
it
that
goes
thought.
with what you're saying.
Okay, well, hold that thought. Let's go to break. Let's go start off what you don't like, all right? Because I think it's a good segue into what the stats you don't like and more right here on Lockdown Spurs with Mike Jimenez. Make sure to follow my next at MJ Acquired Taste. He is part of the Alamocity Sports Podcast. But first, I want to talk to you about FanDuel. Hey, I want to talk to you about FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need and the place where to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So you get a hunch in the middle of a game. You can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bet. Just visit FanDuel.com right now to join today. By the way, the app is very easy to use, user-friendly. It's very intuitive and not hard to navigate whatsoever. Sign up is easy. Hey, look, NFL action, as mentioned, is underway. NBA action is underway. Your Spurs are underway right now. What more do you need? Go to FanDuel.com right now to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets. Again, $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. All that takes is just for you to go and sign up right now. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. With big wireless providers, what you see is never what you get. Somewhere between the store and your first month's bill, the price you thought you were paying magically skyrockets. With Mint Mobile, you'll never have to worry about gotchas ever again. When Mint Mobile says $50 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan, they mean it. Say bye-bye to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you with premium wireless plans starting at $15 a month. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with your existing contacts. Ditch overpriced wireless with Mint Mobile's deal and get 3 months of premium wireless service for $15 a month. Get this new customer offer right now with your 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month. Go to mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. That's mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 GB on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. We're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Mike Jimenez. Follow him on X at MJ Acquired Taste. He is part of the Alamocity Sports Podcast, live from his vehicle. Are you at work, Jimenez? Is that what's going on right now?
No, I was getting my car serviced and I just got it out.
Oh,
I need my new truck.
Oh, you got a new truck. Oh, look at you. Wait. This is not a new truck, because I know you got a new truck recently.
No, this is the same truck. I just had to come back.
The same truck. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
I'm about to say, you accuse me of being money bags. Look at you, mister. I got a new truck.
Oh, that's a good one, dude. It's a nice truck.
Okay, Jimenez popping his
Texas,
comment.
baby. Texas.
It is Texas, yeah. We are talking about stats that we don't like from the San Antonio Spurs to start the season after 24 games played. I didn't like two in the first segment. Jimenez, take it away. What's the first thing you don't like when it comes to stats for the?
Well, you were mentioning 3-point shooting, and that really only Barnes and Champagnie have respectable numbers when it comes to accuracy. Barnes at 43%, Champagnie close to 36%. That's kind of where you want to be. We've seen Victor Wembanyama be shooting in the 30-31% range most of the season. We saw Stephon Castle at 28%. The problem I have right now, though, is the fact that Wemby is shooting more threes than twos. If you look at the number of shot attempts that he's done for the entire season, he has taken 2 more 3-point attempts than he has 2-point attempts. And Wemby's 7'4". He's taller than everybody on the court. Nobody can block his shot. And he's shooting more threes than he is twos. Now, I understand that that's kind of the style of play that he has, but he needs to have a better mix of shot attempts, because last year he shot two 2-pointers for every 1 3-pointer, and right now, again, more threes than twos. It's kind of odd, man. I don't see how that's a recipe for success unless Wemby suddenly becomes Kevin Durant and is knocking him down at 36-38%. If he's going to be chunking them up at 31%, and a lot of the threes that Wemby's been taking, and I know the go-ahead one in the last game was from like 28 feet,
Sure.
but man, I'm tired of seeing Wemby shoot the ball from behind the arc, 3, 4, 5 feet behind the arc. I'm tired of that. If it's at a 31% clip, I'm not down with it, especially if he's avoiding the 2-point area for some unknown reason.
I think this is just going to be who he is for his career. I think this is just him. He's made it very clear to start his NBA career that he doesn't want to be pigeonholed as I'm a center.
Right.
Don't call me that. I'm not a center. So he's not only just going to want to take the threes. I think he's going to want to dribble. I think he's going to want to take guys, cross them up, and do whatever a non-traditional big would do. So I think this is just Wemby. It's just Wemby. It's just him. And look, the Spurs are going to try their best to help develop in that. And but you're right. That's been kind of one of the big knots on him this season, especially from the fan base. Wemby, you're the tallest guy out there. What are you doing just staying far away from the lane? The rim's right there. If you just turn around and drop it on guys. But yeah, it's interesting. You're looking at his 3-point field goal percentage for the entire season through 19 games played, 34%. Jimenez, he's taking 9 attempts a game and making 3. That's it. That's it. And then you look at some of his other deeper stats here. When it comes to 3-point shooting, you'll see if there's any trends here. Look at last month versus this month, all that good stuff here. So he's, I guess, technically trending in the right direction. October, 23% shooting from the 3 line. November, 36%. And December, 36%. So he's kind of hovering around there. Jimenez, this has been an issue with him, but I'm starting to see things a little more aggressiveness out of him. I'm starting to see him maybe take smaller guys to the paint, maybe not more often than I would like for him to see it, or you like to see him. But do you see that trend? It looks like he's trying to take advantage of that now.
He is being a little bit more aggressive. You saw him getting beaten up the first few weeks of the season.
Yeah.
And we saw players like Dylan Brooks kind of challenge him.
Yep.
Now you take a look at Wemby now. Wemby seems to be a little bit more assertive with the smaller players. He's not as assertive with bigger players or who are close to his size, but the smaller players, and I hate to say small because these are gigantic people, but 6'6", 6'8", 6'10", he's backing them down a little bit more often than he did in the past. So I'm happy to see that. It's just one of those things where 34% is fine. It's getting to where we need it to be. He was hovering around 31% up until December, and I guess he's inched it closer to 34%, which is fine. You want to get into 36? So there have been some games where he's been like 1 for 9 or 2 for 11, and he just keeps firing away. And part of me is excited because I'm like, okay, well he has that mentality to just keep firing away. And then other times I'm thinking to myself, why not just take it inside, dude? You're 7'4", move your way back inside. Take advantage of your height, take advantage of your length and your size. And if you miss it, you're going to get your own board. I'm just looking for a little bit more of a good overall, I guess, percentage of shots going one way than the other. And, Wemby's improving his 3-point shot, and the more that he improves it, the more likely he's going to be wanting to stay behind the 3-point line. And I don't think that that's going to be the most positive thing when it's all said and done.
All right, Jimenez, what is your second stat you don't like?
This is why you called me, man.
Here we go. I've been waiting for this moment. Here we go.
It was a stat.
Jimenez.
It was a stat that I mentioned on the Alamocity Sportscast. It was a stat that I posted on Twitter, and I know that you sent me this request. It was looking at Jeremy Sochan. He has made only 11 shots this year in 11 games. He's played 11 games. He's made only 11 shots outside of 2 feet. He averages 1 made attempt outside of the rim per game. He shoots 22% from outside 3 feet. And it's so funny because Spurs fans are reaching out to me, Sochan fans are reaching out to me going, he's improved his field goal percentage. It's because he's no longer shooting anymore outside of 5 feet. He's making a lot of dunks. He makes a lot of layups. But if you look at all the attempts, this guy averages 15 points per game. If you subtract the dunks, if you subtract the alley-oops, and if you subtract the layups, he's 11 for 50 shooting, 22% away from the rim. And I say 2 feet, maybe it's 3 or 4. I say 2 feet, maybe it's 3 or 4. Whatever is considered to be a layup. If you remove layups, remove dunks, and you remove alley-oops, he makes 1 shot per game outside of that spot.
Now, could the inverse of that argument or your point be valid for him? Meaning like he's just going to play to his strengths. He's not going to do anything more than that. And that mindset is allowing him to be more effective where he is most effective around the rim.
Well, I see what you're saying there because, he's quote unquote becoming more efficient because he's not,
Right.
throwing up a lot of bricks. He's not throwing up 4 or 5 3-point attempts per game. He's lowered that to about, less than 2, which is good. But we live in an era of the stretch 4. It kind of started with Dirk Nowitzki, and in the stretch 4 is a big deal to kind of stretch the floor, let your star roam, let your star have space. And he doesn't spread the floor at all. Now there'll be some times when he goes, he gets dunks and he does backdoor cuts and it looks nice and flashy and all that. But at the end of the day, he has no mid-range shot. At the end of the day, he has no 3-point shot. At the end of the day, he can't be trusted to shoot the ball beyond 5 feet.
Jimenez.
And that's just not me being a jerk. Go to NBA.com, go to basketballreference.com. We even posted the chart of where he's shooting the ball. He's 11 for 50. Makes 1 bucket. That's not a dunk or layup. Makes 1 bucket per game. And that's just statistically accurate.
Well, this season, he's only attempted 19 3-point shots and he's made 4. All right.
It's 21%.
So look at last year. Yeah, 21%. Look at last year. He took 227 3-point attempts, made 70. So maybe it's trending that way where he's just going to be less perimeter shooting guy. We'll see how the season moves on. But, I get what you're saying too, Jimenez. I understand what you're saying. Like he's not effective outside the lane, maybe near the rim. But I just see it as he's going to play to his strengths. And that's what's going to make him the most effective. So be it. He's not going to be a knockdown shooter. He's not going to be a 3-point guy, good invited to the All-Star event for the 3-point shootout. Nothing like that. He's doing working what works best for him. That's cleaning up the glass, cleaning up mistakes, doing what he can around that paint rim area, and doing a good job about it. I don't know if we're there yet, Jimenez. We're in his 3rd year. Are we there to say that Sochan, he is who he is as an NBA player for the rest of his career? Are we there yet?
Yeah, we're there. He has an unfixable shot. It can't be fixed. It's herky jerky. It's like watching Charles Barkley hit a drive.
Ooh,
hit a golf ball. There's a hitch to it. It's ugly. He wasn't a shooter in high school, college. Wasn't a shooter the first couple of years with the Spurs. He's just a bad shooter, But he cleans up the glass and they're trying to say that he could be like a Draymond Green type.
Yeah.
Maybe a very junior Dennis Rodman. Rodman couldn't shoot either. Rodman was a 7-point shooter for his 7-point per game average guy for his career. It's just, it's 2024. It's about making threes. It's about being efficient offensively. And if you're only shooting 22% from away from the rim, you're a liability, man. You're a liability. I don't care how good defensively you are, how many rebounds you get. You're an offensive liability. And I think that Mitch Johnson sees that because you see the lineups that are being put out there. Sochan only started when Wemby missed a game, right? Started at center. You're seeing this with the lineups. I think that they're seeing is that he's an offensive liability. And don't get me wrong, he'll get the dunk. He'll fill in the 3-on-2 fast break. He will do a backdoor cut. He will do a putback and all that stuff. And it looks great. But in totality, from 30,000 feet up in the air, you look down at it. At the end of the day, it's just a guy who can't shoot.
And with that, he is Mike Jimenez. Follow him on X at MJ Acquired Taste. If you want to react to what he had to say about Jeremy Sochan and his other points as well, reacted to my points for the free throw shooting, 3-point shooting, and whatnot, and Wemby taking threes. Jimenez, when it comes to Sochan, you're a lightning rod. You are a lightning rod. You put him under that microscope and put the magnifying of 1,000 to find any flaw. And you found him. You found one. Way to go, Jimenez. Way to go. Bravo. Bravo, Jimenez.
And it was so funny is that when I found that stat, because I was just kind of on the fly doing my podcast.
Yeah.
Everyone was checking out the stat lines. And they wanted to see that I was lying. And in fact, it was an actual statistic.
Oh, all right. All right. Well, those are some stats that we don't like so far through the Spurs season. You let us know what you think about our thoughts, and as well as any maybe stats that you don't like from the Spurs after 24 games played. Let Jimenez know on X at MJ Acquired Taste. You can let me know by simply following the Locked On Spurs YouTube page and leaving a comment and subscribing. And speaking of comments, we're going to dive into that. We're going to pick a couple of Locked On Spurs fan comments and react to them right here on Locked On Spurs. But first, I want to talk to you about Game Time. And when I talk to you about Game Time, go to gametime.co right now. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks. Makes getting tickets easier for your favorite live events that much better. Game Time filters out the fluff, so you only get incredible deals on great seats. You don't have to waste time searching through thousands and thousands of tickets. Hey, Game Time has it all. They have the super deal. They got seats view before you buy. They got curated deals to make it easier to find the best price on great seats. The lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection. You will be pleasantly surprised with this app. Go get it right now. Game Time Picks. Again, that's a curation that makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater. Hey, they have the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Game Time ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It is game time. We're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Mike Jimenez, the guy who just bagged on Sochan a few minutes ago. Make sure to follow him on X at MJ Acquired Taste, and he'll be talking about the Alamocity Sportscast in just a few seconds. So it's time for you guys, Locked On Spurs fans, and the comments you guys are leaving. Let's go ahead and pick one out here, Jimenez. This is from Andrew Polander. He says, the Spurs have played 6 more home games this year. That means they get ready for one more drop-off. I don't know, record-wise, I don't understand. But his point, Jimenez, is this upcoming draft is top-loaded. You want to be a part of it. Thank you, Andrew Polander, for that comment. I think he's trying to say without saying tank. Do you think the Spurs should really kind of semi-tank, considering this draft is apparently loaded with talent?
Unfortunately, the answer is no. And I was kind of one of the first on board to say the Spurs should tank for Wemby. And me and James Fletcher from San Antonio Sportscast were the co-captains of Team Tank back in the day. We saw that early. And ultimately, he and I were both right when it came to all that. You need to have a culture of winning at some point. And I think that the Spurs getting into the play-in tournament would be a big deal. That particular follower was correct in saying the Spurs are not as good on the road. That's one of the stats I don't like either. The 3-6 on the road. They've got to improve that before the rodeo road trip in February. But if the Spurs are hovering around 500, they can't be tanking at that point. They need to be focusing on what can they do to develop a winning culture on this team. So many Spurs fans come out and say, the Spurs have a culture of this, that, and the other. The Spurs have a culture. The Spurs have no culture. No culture. Tim, Tony, Manu, that was a decade ago. Pop isn't there anymore. The Spurs don't have a culture. They need to build a culture, a new culture. And that new culture begins with Mitch Johnson. It begins with Victor Wembanyama and Stephon Castle. And it begins with showing that they can, in fact, play meaningful games. Doesn't mean they're going to make the playoffs, but they can play meaningful games and getting into the play-in tournament, getting to 500, which would be a huge win. Which would be a huge win. We have Atlanta's unprotected pick, but Atlanta keeps winning games. Last I saw, they were 12-11 and number 7 in the East. And it's just one of those things where you have to hope that that the wheels fall off somehow, some way for that team. Spurs also have a top 10 protected pick from Chicago, which, depending on the day, it belongs to the Spurs, and then it doesn't belong to the Spurs. You can go to tankathon.com and see that. That Charlotte pick ain't ever going to convey. Yeah. That pick that we got from Charlotte will never be a first rounder. It's going to convey as second rounders when it's all said and done. I understand the desire to tank to see if we can get somebody good, an Ace Bailey, or go get a Cooper Flagg or whoever.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is that the Spurs aren't bad enough to get into the top 5, and it appears as though the Hawks aren't that bad either. to get into the top 5 either. So we might just be on the outside looking in.
Yeah, look, if the Spurs want to tank, I say, why not you just simply tank by flipping some of those picks? That's one route you can do. Like, hey, we're not going to get into that top 10 as the season goes on and they're winning. Why don't we flip them and move into the top 10? Hey, X team, we have these unprotected picks. How about you give you 2 and we give up to the 7th? Something like that. Something to that effect. Just move it up.
Well, so I think that Spurs fans overvalue the picks that we have.
Yeah.
And because we all were under the impression when DeJounte Murray got traded to New Orleans that, the wheels are going to fall off,
Yeah.
And Atlanta's going to suck. And now they're above 500. And then we see teams like Chicago. Well, Chicago will be good enough to convey that pick as a top 10 pick. And right now they're hovering around 8 or 9 or 10. And it's just one of those things where, when you get all these picks, Spurs fans become optimistic because that's what the Spurs sell us, right? When the Spurs got rid of the number 8 pick in the draft, which could have been used to get Dalton Connect or Jared McCain or something like that, when they got rid of that pick, and it was like, okay, well, the Spurs are going to pick up a swap in 2031 and a pick in 32 or whatever that was, 30 and 31. And then you hear Spurs fans say, because Minnesota's going to be really bad by the time that turns around, and Wemby will be in his prime. And I'm thinking to myself, how do you know a certain team's fate 4, 5, 6 years out in the distance? Makes absolutely no sense to me. And I think Spurs fans and the Spurs themselves overvalue picks. Just go get players. That's simply it.
Simply it. All right. Thank you for that comment, Andrew. Let's go move on to our second comment here. This is from Juice32. He says, MJ, not you, Jimenez, Mitch Johnson definitely is the next coach whenever Pop retires. What do you think about that? Do you think they're going to give him the reins if Pop does decide to step away from the game? Is Mitch Johnson that guy, or do you think the Spurs explore options?
No, he is that guy. He better be that guy.
Yeah.
Because if the Spurs don't want him, guess what? There's probably about 10 other teams that do. Hell
yes. Hell yeah. Yeah. We've already seen that already with Will Hardy, with Becky Hammond, with Tori Messina, with Budenholzer. You want to go further back? We can. Mike Brown, Ime Udoka.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to see another talented coach go elsewhere, and now is the time to capitalize on that. It's unfortunate having a Popovich. I hope he gets well, and if he does come back, great. If he doesn't, well, he's already done it all. He's done it all. Records, titles, coach of the year, everything. But Mitch Johnson, for them to give Mitch Johnson the reins and not Brett Brown, the guy who's coached Philadelphia, coached a generational big Embiid, who's been there, done that deep playoff runs, for them to go with technically Jimenez a rookie head coach, that speaks volumes for him. So I think it's Mitch's at this point. Would not be surprised if Pop does end up stepping aside, I should say, and Mitch takes the reins. Hey, we're done talking about the fan comments. We want to hear from you. You can let Jimenez know your thoughts by simply following him on X at MJ Acquired Taste and the Alamocity Sportscast. Mike, what's going on with that show?
Hey, man, the show's growing. We have 1,760
Congratulations.
subscribers strong. To go from 0 to 1,760 is kind of a big deal. Joe Garcia, who's my co-host and also producer of the show, has done an amazing job. We talk sports, pop culture, nostalgia, a lot of Spurs talk, a lot of NBA, a lot of football talk, college football. We do a lot of pop culture references, things that are going on in movies and music. It's a fun show. It's an hour and a half long from 10 to 11:30. It's a fun time, man. We have some really good, loyal listeners to our show who are in on the daily. Jeff Garcia, you appear on our show on Wednesdays.
Yep, I'll be there today by the time this show goes out.
And it's a fun time, man. So I appreciate it. And again, Alamocity Sportscast, you just look for it on YouTube and follow me on Twitter at MJ Acquired Taste.
Again, that's MJ Acquired Taste if you want to react to his Sochan take. All right? Let's see who's going to do it first. I got a suspicion. I got a few guys that I think are going to react to what you had to say about Sochan immediately after they hear you. But again, he is and Michael Jimenez. Follow him on X at MJ Acquired Taste. We thank y'all for making Locked On Spurs your first listen every single day. Free available wherever we get podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, where to go. Ken's 5 Plus app. Subscribe to the Locked On Spurs YouTube I'm sorry, subscribe to the Locked On Spurs newsletter. There you go. It's in the description below on the YouTube side of things. Click on that. It's completely free. Sign up right now. We'll be back tomorrow with more Spurs talk as the Spurs are in a little bit of a break before resuming play on Friday. We'll have Raul Flores of the AP Sports. He'll be joining us tomorrow discussing, well, a topic that I think Spurs fans need to be thinking about already. You'll see what that is tomorrow's episode of Locked On Spurs. So for Mike Jimenez, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put on a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.